I just kind of need a break because I need to show my son the example of what this man is supposed to do for us. What is it, this man is supposed to be like, his character, who he is as a man. Like, there has to be a shift in my life if you're going to be an extension of who I am. How is my life going to change now that you're in it? And if I can't show that change to my son, then you're not the man.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, boo. What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about my favorite topic.
Just read the title real quick.
Really? No. It says, I was loyal to your potential, not your reality.
And why is that your favorite topic?
Because it's about love.
Story of my life, searching for the right.
Y el amor es bello, el amor es todo, el amor lo puede, el amor es alfa, el amor omega, el amor es cuchi cuchi, el amor es todo, so it's beautiful, but it's like I don't know, like the thing I'm not good at, boo.
Your love and hate.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with loving somebody's potential and not their reality. And when is enough? But when do you realize that some of that is you and not the other person?
What is it that keeps us attached? Because now I feel like every decade, well, not that I've had many, but not that none of us have had many, right? We don't get that many decades, but me and you, we haven't had that many decades. But even as the decades go by, I feel like our visual of what this potential looks like is different. Like, I just think immediately about when I think of this theme, I immediately think about my past relationship and how much I stayed stuck. It was 6.5 years. How much I stayed stuck to potential. And I think for me, what did it was we met so young. I was 19. He was 18. And it's like, we're still young. He's going to figure it out, right? But then it's like, now I'm in my 30s, right? In your 30s, you're like, damn, you still figuring it out? Then you're in your 40s and you're like, nah, bro, you still figuring it out? You know what I mean? It's just like every decade comes with something. So we're going to talk about it. I feel like this is going to be another one of those spicy, I'm ready to talk about what I had to go through, right? Because I feel like it's so relatable to what so many of us have had to go through.
Yeah, I think vulnerability has a lot to do with it. Are you open with your partner for what your must-haves, your haves, your non-negotiables, right? And do you stay por la costumbre? Because it's what you're used to, because it's what your parents did, because it's the right thing to do, because you have these kids, because you're invested, because there's this property, because there's this stuff, because he's not so bad, because she's not that bad. So what do you stay for? And what are you ultimately willing to sacrifice? Because it is sacrificial.
Well, we've both sacrificed quite the time. So
well, no, I never gave nobody no 6 years, bitch. I don't even think I could last 6 months.
Right, but even when you say that, like, damn, but like I've had a lot more like potentials than Pam, but it's like, yeah, but Pam gave that one potential so much,
yes,
and so much time. Right? So
you feel time lost?
No, because I feel like that really showed me how much of a rider I really am as a person. So I feel like that was a learning lesson, that experience. Also, falling in love that deeply was an experience, right? It was a learning lesson to a certain extent. There were things about me that I gave up because he fulfilled that I would no longer let anyone take from me again. So I feel like and maybe had I not given it 6.5, I wouldn't have gotten there. I don't know. I felt like the love that I had for my first, and I say my first relationship because my high school crush or relationship that,
What was your first relationship as an adult?
As an adult, right? So I was 19 and I stayed with that person until almost 30. We planned the future, we planned kids, we planned everything. And I could not see a future without that person. It was one of those like falling in love deep relationship. Granted, there were still things that I didn't allow myself to get to out of love, but I do feel that I was always so hung up on what our future was going to look like because we were so young when we met that I felt like we had time. So
there you went, falling in love with what you thought you were going to have in the future.
Yes.
But that wasn't the reality.
And he talked a good game. He was a dreamer, but he was a dreamer in regards to what steps are you taking though?
There's no action.
There's no action. There was a lot of dreams. There was a lot of mansions and what we wanted to live like on Pinterest. But what is reality, right? What is reality?
We're over here clearing our throat, I guess, because it's personal.
I mean, hey, right? I feel like this has been such a big part of our lives. Like, I feel like this has...
Well, definitely mine, right? Like, so many times. So many chances. Like I think I dated probably more than you did because obviously I didn't give one person 6 years, but when I realized, I guess, the unaddressed traumas that I had, I was already older and I was 35. And at 35 was when I felt maybe now I'm ready to be in a relationship and understand what are my negotiables and non-negotiables. And even so then yet, right? Subconsciously, I still dated the same person in a different form.
Oof. Say it one more time. Subconsciously, you what?
I dated the same person in a different form.
So many of us don't realize that we do that. And we just think like, oh, that was a different person. It was like, it was a different person that reminded you of that person. And perhaps the rebound became the new person because they just replaced what you were familiar with, what you were used to. And even in my 6.5 years, like we would break up and make up so many times, and we did our things on the side, and we were being petty, and we were being young and
because you would like take a break,
hurtful,
go back.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously know part of that. Like whenever me and you would catch up, it was a mess, right? It got to a point where my friends were like, "I'm not even gonna ask you whether y'all are together or not." Like, because it's a hot mess. 1 week you guys are together, 1 week you're not. But it really is a person that taught me what truly like unconditional love looks like, even though it's not healthy. And I feel like the difference with me that thank God I was able to, well, it wasn't even me. God made it happen. We were talking about
That's
God.
Right. That's
God
right.
made it happen because God sent me so many signals, and I think he sent us many signals that we were not the match that was supposed to get into the future, and God had to make something huge happen for us to separate. But there were so many times that, and I don't want to just speak for myself because I really don't like to speak bad about people. I hope that for him, he also felt the same, that it was like, yo, I got many signals that this wasn't supposed to be it. So we don't listen sometimes, right? It had to take us being broken up and him having a baby with another person for me to get the call without me even knowing, just like a 5-second phone call, like, hey, we were like, what, maybe 6 months? No, not even, because we broke up August, and then January of 2020 was that I got the news that he got somebody pregnant. But we had a therapy appointment in December to try to figure things out.
And she was pregnant in January.
I didn't know when he found out. I didn't know because when he called me, he made it seem as though I already knew. So, for me, it was like, were you going to tell me in therapy? Like, there's still so many unanswered questions because I never got that closure. But
that's such an asshole thing to do.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like things happen, right? Things happen. We were just talking about how we've made dumb decisions in the past, but for that to have happened to you and you to not have the respect to sit down with me and tell me as a man in person that this was going to be your next step, that you were going to become a dad, and that you understood that if I wouldn't stand by that, that's really hurt. That hurt me more. And I feel like that is what really matters with like, did I date potential? Because I feel like if you were the man that I thought you were, you would have had enough respect for me to sit down. And I feel like, I don't know if he's ever going to listen to this, but that's really what I've always wanted since January 2020 when this happened. I never got the conversation in person that I deserved, in the respectful conversation. And that's really where it showed me that, damn, I was really dating potential this whole time. This person really was not the person, and never caught on to being the man that I would have wanted this person to become.
Do you think that he couldn't do that for you because he wasn't emotionally intelligent to get there? And perhaps what you were expecting, he couldn't deliver because he hadn't tapped into that yet?
For sure. I definitely felt that. I mean, we did couples therapy for a little bit. Actually, that actually helped, but he wanted to stop. I felt like maybe had we continued, this would have been a different turnout. But like I said, everything happens for a reason, and I ended up with a man that I absolutely adore. But I feel like his individual therapy, absolutely. Had he done that work, had he become emotionally intelligent, because he wasn't. I don't think any of us were at that point. I didn't really start doing that self-work until I started grad school, until I actually was studying to become a therapist and actually did the assignments myself.
And you were young then.
I was crying, bro. I was writing papers crying by myself in my house because I lived on my own since I was 22. So I was in grad school. All throughout grad school, I lived by myself. So I'm in my place writing my assignments. And I literally will never forget, I did an assignment where I put note cards as if I was sitting with different parts of myself, like at ages, different ages where traumatic or impactful events happened to me.
That's beautiful. There's healing there.
And it wasn't until then that I started healing. So I'm sure that he also could have benefited as much as me from that self-work. And I would always hope that he has done or is willing to do that work. Obviously, I wouldn't know that, but yeah, absolutely. There was no emotional intelligence there that allowed him to see that. I don't think he's a bad person. I really don't hold any bad blood. But there was a lot of dating potential there. You know, I took care of a lot. I did a lot. I was living on my own. I always told him I didn't need him. I wanted him. And he knew that. But we planned the whole future together. And I was taking care of a lot of things because I figured that eventually he would catch up.
Yo, eventually he will catch up. I have a friend of mine that she was very invested in her relationship, and unfortunately she felt like she was giving her partner the space to eventually figure it out and catch up. And they started young. They had some children. They were, had properties. They were invested. They were financially attached, but she always felt like she was the man, because in essence her income was the main income, and he was always trying to figure it out and catch up. And now she found herself 2 decades into this, 20 years later. Damn. And he's still trying to figure it out and catch up. So have you ever experienced perhaps staying too long out of the hope that they'll catch up? And I don't just mean that in a financial aspect, because that was that particular friend's situation, right? But what about when you're like waiting for your person to just catch up in whatever it is that they're supposed to catch up in? Some people need to catch up, be more vulnerable. Some people need to catch up and be more intimate with, sexually. Some people need to catch up and figure out how to damn cook the meal for your person, because that's important for them. So staying too long for some hope. And so many of us do that. Yeah. And you're so invested after so long,
And I think that the negotiables and non-negotiables tool that I talked about really comes into play here, because I feel like the only things we should feel as potentials are things that we'd be okay with if that person never accomplishes. Those are the true things that we are focusing on here, right? We shouldn't, I felt like there were so many non-negotiables that I made a negotiable. So then I realized, damn, this person didn't change that in 6 years, regardless of how much into adulthood we were growing. So if that person never reaches this, and I'm 20 years into a marriage, right? Because this person that I was with he bought a ring and everything. He was ready to propose. He actually had talked to my mom. Obviously, I found all of this out after I found out this news, but he had already bought a ring. He had asked my mom for permission. He had talked to my best friend. He was planning a whole proposal in the midst of all of this happening. And I'm just like, damn, I would have said yeah. Not because I knew, not because it was a hell yes, but because it was the person I loved and it was what I was most used to.
You invested yourself in, you put in all this work, and that's why people like they stay, because they're like, I'm so invested, I put in this work, I put in this time. So they fear the unknown. What if I leave this for what I do not know? And what if it's worse over there? But what if it's better?
We don't think about that.
But what if it's better?
Right.
I wanna talk about like when you wake up, like when do you realize como que ya yo me jalté, this is enough. Everybody has like a
I ain't experienced that till I got that call. I was like, well, I ain't living. Have you ever watched the show The Game?
No. Yeah, with the football guy. Yes.
So you know how he had a baby on, Tia Mowry's character, I forgot what her name was. I think his name was Devin, maybe. But when he had the baby and she had to sit there and like hear him going to the ultrasound if they were at dinner and the baby, and like she was having a contraction or something or potential whatever, he had to rush out whatever they were doing to get to the baby. That's immediately, Ashara, I'm not even kidding, that's immediately what came to my mind the minute I knew. Granted, when I found out whether it was real or not, that person then posted immediately after this whole, I love this person, I'm in a relationship with this person is my everything, da-da-da-da. And I was like, bro, we were just going to therapy like 4 weeks ago to like figure our shit out, like what happened. But I feel like this person also knew that I wouldn't stand by that. Bro, can you imagine giving 6.5 years of your life, having names picked out for your children, having a whole future planned out, to then that person have their first child that's not yours after we grew up together pretty much into adults? Come on, like as much love as I had, I don't think I'd be able to do that. I really wouldn't have thought I'd be able to do that. And that's why I said I think that he knew that I wouldn't stand by that. And I don't know, there's so much unknown that I chose to not even know, because for what, right? Like,
well, you went on your own healing.
And I let them, and I let that situation follow through with however it needed to follow through, because I'm a firm believer that someone's character is going to continue to show. I didn't have to prove myself to anyone. His parents loved me, his family loved me, I loved them. I showed my character, right? He showed his character. And that was all. Like, he was all of a sudden in love with somebody else. I let it rock. It killed me. Don't get it twisted. There were a lot of tears. There were a lot of 3-hour sleeps. There was a lot. And I don't want to get deep into it because it's
yeah, because you can transport into that pain right away. Absolutely. Like nobody talks about the healing that has to go behind that. And I think the hardest thing for me in the journey of dating is accepting like my own self-worth. Because como que you think that that's it, como que it's okay to accept what a person has to offer, not realizing that there's so much more value to who you are and that you could get exactly what you want and you deserve and all of that. And that has a lot to do, what I read here is, why do we do this? And I'm like, I didn't realize that I was doing that until I did some type of healing. And you do some type of work. And yet, even so, still now, reassessing, and you're like, oh my God, pero yo no puedo creer que yo hice la misma vaina otra vez.
And the crazy thing is, like, for example, right, because what comes up for me is people-pleasing. When you think about it, people-pleasing is seen in a lot of situations, not just romantically.
Right.
You're that people-pleasing friend. You are that people-pleasing coworker, employee. You are that people-pleasing daughter. You are that people-pleasing family member, right? But again, because it's someone we're constantly interacting with and engaging with at all times of the day, whether it's through text, through talking, through physical interaction, you're getting that interaction constantly. So it's a constant reminder. It makes it seem like so much bigger. Oh, I'm only people pleasing in my relationship, but I don't take that from anybody else. Check yourself. Check yourself, because how you are in one relationship is how you are in many relationships, if not most relationships. So it's like, how much of how you are and what you're willing to give has to do with the work you haven't done on yourself, the low self-worth. And that's when I realized that the only way I was going to be able to let go of this person was with something like this, that he had a baby.
Drastic change.
Right. It was a drastic change. I felt like all of a sudden I was the main one, and then I became the side. Right? Because now he had a family. Now he was expecting a family. And this person that he was having a baby with already had another child. So it was like, damn, like I'm butting in. You know what I mean? So I had to realize, like, nah, that's not where I'm gonna shine, and that's not my place. I need to give. I actually haven't. Not that I know of, at least. Well, you know why? Because in college, a lot of between my breakups with my ex, I would have adventures. I would have a good amount of adventures, but it was never like committed enough where we would talk about anything deep. It was like I was just having fun. I was having fun. I was talking. I was flirting. I was going out, but it was nothing like consistent person all the time. So even if I was a side piece, I wouldn't know.
Okay,
I wouldn't know. But what came up to you when you asked that? I'm curious.
Because you said I was his main person, and then all of a sudden I became his side person.
Yeah.
And I think that when you said that, I have a family member of mine, actually, and she's young, and she was in a relationship with somebody for a little bit, young love. What to me, young love is like when you're in your 20s. And they broke off, and he decided to be with another girl. But now she's his side person. And I was like, how did you
transition?
How did you become the main? How did you do that and accept it, right? But then I'm like, I look at her all the time and I tell her, oh my God, don't do that, because I don't want that to be your story.
Right.
Like, you know, like you deserve so much more. So now she's obviously like doing some work and tapping into it and getting better. But so many of us, like, you know, do that and say, whatever. I'll be loyal to this dude regardless, or this person regardless of who you now hold and like what value you now hold in their life. Because how do you go from being somebody's main priority to nothing? Or what if you're somebody's main priority all the time, yet you don't even get the label or the respect because of their own fears, their own addressed stuff? Damn, what if I give you the title, but then I'm not loyal to you? Nah, let's just stay in this friend zone with benefits, because then everybody's safe. That's because you just don't want to take the chance or the leap or address those fears that you have, right?
Right. Oh my God, that's such a good point. That's such a good point about how much of it has to do with us and how much we allow to continue. Right? So I feel like in that sense, it's like I have so much love for you. I've built so much love for you that any love that I get from you is love, because it's you. You ever heard of like, oh, I only do this because it's you? It's because it's familiar and because there's so much love there. There's so much, especially that young love. Yo, ain't nothing more profound than that, like young love. Bro, I was giving myself heart and soul and everything into my relationship. And then I realized, like, no, my heart is mine and my soul is mine. And I got another space to keep you in,
and I would like to share it with you.
Absolutely. You're holding my hand along the journey, but I didn't realize until after that person was gone from my life that I was like, damn, I was so emotionally dependent of this person, that if he didn't tell me I was beautiful, if he didn't tell me that, because let me tell you something about my ex, he was one detailed person. Like, he would get creative with it.
Ooh.
Right. He was one of those that, like, after we broke up in August, he would leave stuff in my doorstep. Like,
it was intentional.
He left me, like, so the show 13 Reasons Why, he sent me an email that said 13 Reasons Why, and it was like an email per reason. Yeah, homeboy. I have a video that he put together, like, he was there. He was creative, and he would talk to my mom. He had a special relationship with my mom. So, but then some people may say today, like, that shit was manipulative as hell. Like, he knew how to keep you there. Because I remember one thing that I'll never forget that he told me was, nobody will ever love you Nobody will ever love you like I love you. I fight for you no matter what. Not even your dad fought for you the way that I would fight for you. And the way that I have fought for you.
Claro, so
and at that point, I was like, damn, maybe he's right. Right? Maybe he's right. But all of that allowed me to be blinded by the fact that, oh, we're not achieving what we're supposed to be achieving, though. We still on this potential, right? All of this love, all of this detail, all of this, and it made me fall so profound that I was like, you know what? It's okay that you haven't reached it yet because you give me so much. You fill my cup in so many other areas. But now when I met hubby, I was like, hell no. If you ain't covering this, I'm good.
Oh, no, yeah. I wanted to actually address the fact of breaking the patterns because you said that I knew that when I left him, I no longer was going to accept this, and this, and this. And I'm like, and that's about breaking patterns. And I'm like, yo, so many of us struggle with that. That shit is freaking real. Like we subconsciously like choose the same thing, not realizing, oh my God, that's what feels safe. Or maybe that feels safe because I didn't address this stupid childhood thing that I never addressed. And now I'm making the same choice. And like, how do you break those patterns? Because it happened for you in your next relationship, but that hasn't been my story.
Girl, because I took a year and a half of crying and crying and crying. I will give a shout out to one of my guy friends, Luigi. He really, so we were actually going through, so at that time he had found out that his partner had been like cheating on him with a close friend or something like that. So we met each other at a crazy time because we were both going through heartbreak together. And I will always thank him for helping me get through that, especially as a man, because at that point, you know, you start getting into the whole manning shit. Like, I don't ever want to, so he was actually someone that had a great heart that also got played. So I remember being on the phone with him. Yo, sometimes I didn't even want to go to my house. I'd be out of work at 10 p.m. I'd get to my house by 10:30. I was there parked in my spot until like 2 a.m, 3 a.m. I had to be at work at 6 because at that point, I had my internship, I had full-time school, and I had full-time work because I had to pay my bills. So I was working like 70 hours a week on top of everything. So I'd be on the phone with him, and if it wasn't for Luigi, I don't know what would have happened. But it's also that self-work that I did, those assignments. That's why I said it's crazy that everything happens for a reason, and I know there's a God up there. Because I'm like, how did everything fall right here, right now? And at the time, I was like, why is everything happening to me at once? Mind you, this was COVID. Like, this was straight COVID.
That's right.
Like, this happened January 2020, and COVID happened March 2020. So this whole year of, like, heartbreak, I was also going through COVID stuff, moving, having to move by myself and move things by myself because my sister-in-law was pregnant at the time, so my brother couldn't risk it and help me move. Like, it was crazy. The craziest things happened to me that year. On top of COVID. So it was like, how did I get through that? Crying, bro. Like my mom would go to Connecticut and spend a couple weeks with me at a time.
I remember I found you in that season.
Yeah. It was a lot. I don't even think my ex realizes how much I truly suffered. I really don't think he ever can even imagine that.
I mean, I want to play a little devil's advocate too. You don't think he also suffered?
I do. I think he had to let go of a lot. I think that he had to accept a lot in a very short amount of time as well.
Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know the story behind the pregnancy, but if he was trying in December to go to therapy, what if the person was like rebound and then she got knocked up? Like, you don't know the story.
Yeah, but I also don't know what he was feeding her.
Well, that's true too. We don't
know. So it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And I don't really blame anybody. I just kind of have taken it for what it is. Actually, I've been in contact with that person, with that girl, the girl.
Ooh.
Afterwards. Yeah. Amicably, of course, respectfully, amicably. And I have nothing against anybody. I don't know anyone's true story. So who am I?
Well, there's his version, her version, the truth.
Yeah, she also got fed a lot of stuff about me. So I also feel like it's just too many versions, right? But it's...
So you took some time. You basically said, the way I broke the pattern was I took some time to do this assignment, to do this work, and focus on myself. Y eso es tan fácil.
Why do you feel like that hasn't worked for you? Because I know you've done some work. So why do you feel that, or do you feel like still today that's still a struggle for you?
Man, relationships and we suck. And I think it's because I have done some work. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like I always see the good in the person because it's the right thing to do, because you should show compassion and love, right? You should always move in like positive and good energy. That's how I was, raised. But I feel like for me, it's just been like nobody's ever made me feel safe. And I struggle with that. And I feel like the only person that has provided safety is my father, which I feel like maybe perhaps I have to heal from some of that. And maybe because he's the only person that I've ever felt safe in, I function in so much like alpha energy. Like, I'll do it, I got it, I'll do it, I got it. That I always kind of like, I do it, I got it. And perhaps that's not very welcoming for the other person either. Because he's the man, right? So it's like, you got to give him the room.
So maybe that's why you attract the type of man that doesn't bother. That doesn't bother, that doesn't allow, like, because there's some men that wouldn't even, that's not their thing, to deal with the alpha, too much of an alpha energy. So
yeah, because
maybe that's why you end up with these situations where you feel like, damn, why am I always carrying, I want to be a little bit more submissive, why am I always carrying this alpha energy? But maybe it's because you end up with those men, because the men that wouldn't stand for that, we'd maybe think of them as like, oh, you trying to tell me what to do? Back up. It's like, we don't want either or. We don't want we don't want the guy to be like, yo, calm down, because we'd be like, who are you telling calm down to? But we also don't want the guy. We also don't want that guy that's like, sí, mi amor, sí, todo lo que tú quieras. Sí, dame el dinero porque no tengo. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we don't want either or. So it's like, how do you, so I think that's where we fall into, like, where is this balance?
I think my personal struggle has always been being ahead, like getting ahead of it. And the reason why I get ahead of it is because I felt like, had my mom gotten ahead of it and had she been like financially stable, she would have not stayed with my dad. And although my dad is my world, right? I love my father. He was my father. He was not my husband. And as a husband, you were bad.
He had to show up in a different way.
Right. And she didn't leave because she wasn't financially stable. So I went and I made the most money I could. I have to always have money because ain't no man ever going to hold that over me where I'm staying because you holding me down financially and I can't make no moves. But a part of that is his job. He's supposed to kind of like provide for you, sustain a home. This is where we're gonna live. This is some ideas. And yes, your stuff, your money goes into that too. Your ideas go into that too. But he should be a leader. But because I became the leader all the time, I guess I subconsciously picked a man that allowed me to do that. And then they weren't leading.
It wasn't enough.
I guess. Well, definitely. It's not what I want anymore. Right. So that's why I was like, yo, for you to break the pattern at so young, so fast is commendable because I still struggle with that.
Do you feel like you've allowed yourself that time, like more than a year, to be totally single and not talking to anybody, truly just healing?
Yeah, a year and a half. Okay. But not doing all the work I should have.
During that time.
Yes. Versus what you did was, I took a year and a half and you said, I cried, I did this work, I did an assignment, I did all this stuff, right?
Girl, I still have to this day tucked in my drawer notes that my mom, because my mom is not an emotionally available person as much.
It's mine.
And when I was going through that, my mom saw me in such a deep emotional state that my mom would leave me notes in my nightstand every single night after I fell asleep, and I would wake up to a couple of her notes. And I still have them to this day. Shout out to Mama. And you know what she was going through? She was going through
notes that she left you.
I am during a next thing because I don't have it right now, but I will. And to this day, you know, she was always like, she's always told the story, like when she found out her fiance, because, you know, she was going to marry somebody else before my father. Mm-hmm. And the man, she caught that man cheating on her like a month before her wedding. And she said, fuck this wedding. Like, I don't need to be married to this man. Mm-hmm. Shout out to my mother for being that person from a young age. But I felt like for her, the fear of like, oh my God, like she would just be like, stop crying. Don't give so much attention to this person. He doesn't value you. Da, da, da. But I feel like in that sense, it was her own fear. My mom had to go through her own breakup. She adored my ex. Like she had such a beautiful relationship with him, and she went through her own breakup. She couldn't believe it. But obviously it wasn't about her. It was about me. Yeah. Right? It was about me. So she was more making it about me. But I know she was going through her feels too. So I felt like there was an emotional side I got from my mom. Thanks to him. So I want to say, right, everything happens for a reason. And still to this day, all I could hope is that he does what's best, right? He does what's best for him, for his child. And, but yeah, that was just my story, right? It was chasing that potential. And let me tell you this, like, I also had to understand that nobody that I met was going to be, right? Like I'm thinking about here, I'm seeing like practice choosing people who are already living in alignment. And I'm like living in alignment. And that's what I said when I met Gabe. It was like living in alignment does not have to be meeting someone or choosing someone that is in where they need to be, right? Maybe it's because of the age that I was in. But I knew that I needed to be with someone that was sure of something.
You know what was powerful that you said? You said, I know that my mom like had love for him, but she was acting like she was going through the breakup and I was going through the breakup. And I feel like when you date with a child, they go through the breakup too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 100%.
And, I felt like the last 2 relationships I've had, my son has been aware of. And now I'm like, damn, that's 2 things that didn't work. Like, and he's looking at me. So I told my mom, like, for the first time, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be with anybody. I just kind of want to just be by myself. And if I date somebody, I date them. And if I hang out with this person, that's fine. I just kind of need a break because I need to show my son the example of what this man is supposed to do for us. What this man is supposed to be like, his character, who he is as a man. Like, there has to be a shift in my life if you're going to be an extension of who I am. How is my life going to change now that you're in it? And if I can't show that change to my son, then you're not the man. And I feel like I need to get the change for me first.
Right.
In order to get that.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful because we also don't realize how much impact those people that we allow in have on our circle are most important.
Absolutely.
Right? But sometimes that is also the factor that allows us to be like, wait, there's more to this. And that's perhaps what doesn't allow you to just say, I'm done forever, but I need a break right now. Because right now I'm in a space where I continue to heal. And not even for your son, but more so just for you in wanting to find what you feel you've been looking for this whole time. And I think you've just given a lot of chances. I really think that's what it comes down to. You've just given a lot of chances. And just these people have not been able to understand the value of one chance from you because you give so many. It's like, am I going to value this one piece of bread unless I've been starving for a week? I'll value that piece of bread a lot more, right? So you give too much of you, so much of you. And I feel like that's what I learned to stop doing is...
Not everybody's worthy of your love and your time.
Well, no person's love, the way you love anybody in this world, nothing should be worth more than your well-being and you putting yourself first. And not even your kid. If you put yourself first, it's like if you don't charge your phone overnight, how is it going to work for the rest of the day for you? So you got to charge yourself to be able to give the best version of you. Imagine splitting 100% of your battery, your social personality battery, by 10 different relationships that you encounter a day. Then if you were to split 20% of battery because you're not charging yourself. So I had to make sure that the person that I decided to be with after my ex was someone that I could charge myself, and they were emotionally available to understand that And
so in essence, he was your battery? Like,
he didn't know. I had my own battery, but he didn't know. I feel like the emotional intelligence was in there, but the emotional availability to learn was there. So I had to teach him not everything is to please me. How do you feel about that? Where's your voice? There's your space, right? So you charge yourself, I charge myself, and then we both come and give each other 100% battery. Right? So that emotional availability allowed him to learn from the things that I had already done on
eso
myself.
suena como muy bonito, ¿verdad? That sounds beautiful.
It does.
sounds
But
so
the
pretty.
reality is,
No ain't nobody doing that, bitch. Who is sitting down talking about what you need for your charge? What you
I'm telling you, listen,
What
the conversations ain't comfortable, I'll tell you that. And I wish he was here to attest to that. The conversations have not been comfortable. And you know what? That's why I said we're not perfect. And you know what? He may not have everything.
Well, none of us have it.
And neither do I. But to be able to sit down and have those conversations of where are you lacking, what's the work you got to do, where am I lacking, what's the work I got to do, not everyone is willing to take that accountability. Not everyone is willing to have those hard conversations. And I understand that 100%. And very few people are doing that. Very few. But that's why I kind of say that I hate that I studied what I studied sometimes. I hate it because I feel like I get the short end of the stick so much because, or not even the short end, I just feel like I don't fit in so much. Because everyone feels like I have this different mentality and everyone feels like I'm trying to be defensive or that I love just playing devil's advocate. And I'm like, no, you guys don't understand that when I went to school and I did these assignments and I did this work, I put on glasses that I can't take off anymore. Like, I just see it differently. I can't watch a movie the same way. I can't watch a TV show the same way. Like, I'ma see it different. That's just what it is.
It's kind of like when the musician or the person that's musically inclined listens to music. Like, they hear it.
It's a different experience.
You process the emotion, the message differently. Like,
Absolutely.
You're seeing it from a therapeutic, like, therapist point of vision.
And not to say, right, therapy is a lifelong journey. Listen, I still wild out.
I feel like the therapists need the most therapy. Y'all hearing everybody's problems all day.
Hell yeah.
Ese caco tuyo está loco.
And the fact that we're not even required to go to therapy is crazier.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so many people that just have all this built in and have all, but that's one thing that I will say, I am proud of myself because between what I did for myself in grad school and what I did for myself thanks to my ex, and I will always be grateful of that, is had I not gone through the heartbreak that I went through because of our situation, I don't know if I would have done the self-work that I did at that point. So I will always be thankful of him for that. And perhaps that's what potential could do for you today. Is what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to learn?
From the potential of somebody? Or what am I supposed to learn from the lesson of not falling from somebody's potential?
Self-awareness. What are my true non-negotiables? What are my true negotiables?
But there's a lot of relationships, and before we transition, I guess, to the next subject, where you start and you develop and you grow, and then you're in here committed, but then somehow along the journey, one perhaps evolves and grows, does the work. Perhaps the other one hasn't caught up. There's no communication about everything that you just spoke about, so they're not talking about their needs, their wants, whatever it is. And then, eventually it falls apart. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's putting in the work. And then it just demangles. Or you stay for something else besides the person. Why do you think that so many of us do that and we sacrifice? And now it's not so much the potential, it's more la costumbre.
100% la costumbre. Familiarity is, I think I said this before, but we always gravitate towards what we feel familiar to. And the love that we feel familiar to, the rituals of the relationship, ya tú sabes lo que me gusta, yo sé lo que te gusta, yo sé lo que no te gusta, yo sé lo que a mí no me gusta. You know what I mean? Like that whole, I'm comfortable with you.
We don't gotta start from scratch.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with you. At least I know your flaws and I know that it's not gonna be worse than this type of thing. It's scary. Yo, I remember when I started dating again that I met Gabe, I was so scared to ask him because this was around the oh my God, Trump was running for office. And I was like,
the first time
I didn't even want to ask him like what his political views were.
Wow.
Because I'm like, this is a make it or break it for me. But I was like, damn, for me to start again, and be like, damn, yo, like to ask these conversations, I felt like I felt uncomfortable. Yeah. But I think that's what it is. We run away from discomfort so much that we don't know what blessings we continue to risk every freaking day. We delay all these blessings every single day. It's there. It's there, bro, but you have to let go so that you make space for what should be there. What is
intended to be there.
Right? And the discomfort is because it's so uncomfortable, you run away from it every single time. Bro, I will never want to cry. Like, I would never want to feel the way that I felt. The fatigue, the exhaustion, the heartbreak, the seeing things online, like, you're happy, I'm not happy. How are you? You have this beautiful family now, and I'm just here alone crying. No. And all I saw was happiness from him and beautifully decorated Valentine's Day. And I was just like,
oh now God. You in love and shit.
Right. And I was just like, oh my God, I never want to experience that. But had I never experienced that, bro, would I have found Gabe? Would I have appreciated that man and valued that man? Because like I said before, when I saw his profile, it wasn't necessarily, right, because he wasn't this fashion forward person. The way that he wrote on his profile, I knew, bro, there's more to this man. And I would have never allowed myself to look more than what I was physically attracted to. I would have not allowed that because it's what I was familiar to, is what I thought that I needed. And then I started realizing that's not what you need, Pam. That's what you want. That's not what you need. Focus on what you need and let go of what you want. That's where the potential was. We all want the man with money, the entrepreneur with money, that look good, that dress good, that takes care. Like, I'm attracted to my man, don't get it twisted. But like, there's certain things that I was just like, oh, that wouldn't be my immediate thing. But because I was a healed version and I knew what I should be paying attention to, I was able to see beyond what I thought I needed this whole person to be like and look like. And now I got a lifetime of, I have never slept so good in my life since meeting that man. Like, I would always question what my ex was doing, whether he was like trying to be petty or not with me. Like, I wasn't sleeping right. And this man has given me that certain type of emotional certainty that I hadn't received. Yeah, that safety, exactly.
The safety. But some of that pain is, yes, you went through some stuff and you were able to heal. And some people carry that pain for a long time. Especially, I'm never
going to forget that pain.
Especially if the pain comes from, let's say, the father of your child, and maybe that father's not person. Or the mother of your children, and now she's really not the mom you expected her to be. Or this person that, you thought your forever was supposed to be with, that you shared so much intimacy with, and now they're no longer a part of your life. It's so hard sometimes to heal those wounds. And sometimes it takes over people's mental state, physical state. Se ponen flaco, se ponen gordo, se ponen loco, se ponen calladito, nunca me lo ve. Y yo, se pone loca. Like, you're like, what the hell's going on? Like, all these emotions. And that's
what the hell?
What? Yeah. What the hell?
What the hell,
Yo, all those emotions and how people process that. That's tough, like, to process through all that. If you're not mentally in tune, emotionally, intelligent, you're going to go through all that and a la mierda todo. You're going to just gotta survive. You're going to, survive whatever you're going through instead of addressing it at its core, which is commendable because of the steps you took.
Maybe it's a lifelong journey.
Maybe I got to do some of that again.
It's a lifelong journey. I got to take you through my program. I'm telling you, you're going to write this non-negotiable and negotiable tool. I'm going to take you in for Turning the Page program. But, wow. Like, I said so much about myself, but I'm glad that I did because,
that was beautiful.
It's part of my story. I'm not ashamed of my story. And I'm grateful for everything that happened the way that it happened. And I have no hard feelings for anybody, right?
You grew.
I can't, right, exactly. At some point, you just grow and you just want the best for people. And that's really what it comes down to.
And I know that... que ganaste eres tú.
Right. Bro, I could tell my husband, like, yo, tell me how I had the craziest dream. This man showed up in my dream. My husband's going to be like, damn, for real? That's crazy. Like, we could literally talk just like that. And it's nothing crazy. Like, I don't have to deal with any, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
That other bullshit.
It's just tranquility that I had never had before, and I get to live that every day now. So
that's beautiful, Pam. And I hope
we gonna do that for you. We gonna make it.
I'm good. It's about me right now, right?
Yes, it's your healing journey. But you know what's beautiful is that our audience is going to be able to see you in that process, boo. You ever thought about that?
I know, right? They're going to be like, you should go on a date with this guy.
Right, everyone. Yo, my cousin is single, ready to mingle. She looked like that. Come on. Y'all remember when she gave the little turnaround in the beginning of the episode? Don't play yourself. Anyways, I think it's time to let's get saucy.
I was going to use a question here, but I had to change it because you answered that, but I already remembered. Go ahead.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what's the most Build-A-Man moment you had, and do you laugh or cry thinking about it? The most Build-A-Man moment, like Build-A-Bear.
Oh my God. Do I laugh or cry about it? No, I don't cry about it anymore. I definitely don't laugh about it.
You haven't healed enough to laugh about it. You will maybe potentially.
You know, I do laugh a little. El de sin diente. Yo tenía un tipo que no tenía diente, loca.
Te pasaste, loca. Te pasaste. No
he
teeth.
Had no teeth.
No, you wildin'. We been down. We were on the floor and Jesus picked your ass up and said, come here, my child.
Surrender to Christ. Yo, bro, bad. Sin diente. La amiga mía le decía, el de sin diente. Coño, este tipo sin diente. Esta tipa sufriendo con este tipo sin diente.
No.
El de sin diente.
You got him new teeth?
No.
Was that the Build-A-Man moment?
No. That was the Build-A-Man. The Build-A-Man moment was because I got him a car. And
you bought him a whole car.
A BMW.
And he had no teeth.
He
couldn't even smile for you when he got that vehicle. You ain't right. I'm a therapist and a child of God. I shouldn't have said that, but y'all know that was funny.
Yo, so yes, and that's hilarious. But through that time, right, that was my most the most pain I've ever been through. And I remember that I was so depressed that my mom came with one of my best friends from church, Debbie, her mother, Ligia. Shout out to Ligia. She's like another mom.
Hey, Ligia.
She came through with my mom, and they prayed over me and that everything, because I was in bed for a long time, depressed. I was also in bed because of my knees. I was going through like knee surgeries, and I was like in a really funky place in my life. And that's why they always say that whenever you're not in a good space in life, that you should never date anybody, because then you're going to date at the level that you're at. And you're not going to date in the space that you're in. Like, and I wasn't functioning in my full potential. I wasn't seeing my full value. I didn't realize that I'm thebomb.com. So you're not going to pick that choice. You're going to pick el sin diente, because that's where your energy's at. So they prayed over me. They got me back. That's why Jesus, God is good. And I had to do some healing from there.
I mean, you definitely had to laugh about that a little bit. we really grew.
Where your teeth?
Make sure he got teeth. At least.
Yo, and I got some pretty ass teeth
too. Real. Them colgate smiles.
All right, so my question to you is, you expressed your past relationship, and now this amazing relationship that you're in now.
Yes.
I guess my question is, if you can share, what perhaps is something that you wish that this person that you had before, that you appreciated, that perhaps you wish that the person that you are with now has more of? And what does your person have now that's so amazing that person didn't have?
Well, for sure, like I said, the man was detailed. My husband is a stereotypical man in that sense.
Okay.
He does nice things, but he's an acts of service man. So he'll like do something like, how can I say it? Like if I ask him, no doubt.
Yes.
He is the type of man that if I ask him, like, I don't have to ask him twice. I ask him, hey babe, can you get me this? Or hey babe, can you help me with this? Do not, babe. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do it and then forgets. No.
Oh, okay. That's good.
However, he doesn't there's no like inspiration, like it doesn't come initially from him, which from my ex there was that creativity aspect to it, which I mentioned in the past.
He was more Etsy.com.
Yeah. He was more DIY, let me like, you know, which I get, right? Not everyone is going to have that. And there's a lot of men that struggle with that, which I totally understand. However, again, because of the emotional availability, he's been very open to learn, right? Like I'm the type of girlfriend that will like, well, wife now, but that will send like, look at this video. So like, you're not saying, what should I do? Let me just DM you that
Me gusta
video.
esto.
Things like that, right? But yeah, I would say definitely, and I always give my ex his accolades when it came to that, and his credits when it came to that. Whether people found that as his sense of manipulation or not, I really did appreciate that. And something that my husband has now that I wish my ex would have had, oh my God, the maturity. I actually feel that they're both similar in a sense of like, I feel more dominant in regards to my character, but my husband has had to live life on his own a lot. And that made him self-sufficient. I feel like my ex was very mama's boy. He had both his parents growing up. He had a loving household. He had a beautiful family. So I feel like he could dream of everything. And his parents would be like, you could do it. You got it. And I feel like my husband didn't have that. He had to really... He had moments of that, but I feel like he figured out a lot of things on his own throughout his life. And I feel like that gave him the maturity that maybe my ex didn't possess.
There's also more grit in a man that has a little bit of a tough struggle.
Yeah, because
more of a fight, more of a grit.
Yeah, because people see Gabe and they're like, he a teddy bear, he's so nice. And I'm like, yeah, don't get it twisted though, because he will like... I feel like it's those type of people that just have a really, really large tolerance, but he's not a pendejo. And I feel like that's what did it for me. I was like, damn, you respect me, you value me, you're nice, you're awesome, you do everything. And...
he could tell you, Pam, siéntate.
Right. He'll be like, all right, babe, that's just, no, I'm not doing that. Like yesterday, I was like, no. He's like, no, I just don't want to. And I was like, okay, daddy. You know? But yes, I would say that is my answer. So, I don't know. It's just such a beautiful journey of growing together. And I feel like this is exactly the growth journey that I would have wanted. Like a growth, because I know none of us are perfect. We're constantly growing. The healing journey is a lifelong thing. Yeah. So the fact that we're both just emotionally available for each other to speak about anything and everything. We've talked about exes, past experiences, anything. Like there's nothing that we'd be like, why would you say that? That's disrespectful. Like literally have been open about so many things. And that's something that I truly appreciate.
Well, thank you so much for today and for being so open.
Yes.
And sharing your story. That's beautiful. That's what it's about.
Thank you, Prima.
And I'll keep you posted on my status.
Let's do it.
Which one am I circling?
Negotiables, not negotiables.
Long time.
Yay.
This one was for anyone who stayed longer than they should have, holding on to the potential instead of the truth. We talked about how easy it is to fall in love with the future version of a person and how, without realizing it, we start overlooking the reality standing right in front of us. How hope can turn into waiting, how love can turn into exhaustion, and how clarity doesn't mean you failed. It means you finally saw the truth. Accepting what is doesn't mean settling. It means choosing yourself over an illusion. It means letting go of the someday and living in the right now. So ask yourself, am I loving who they are or who I keep hoping they'll become? This is Soul y Sazón, where the flavor of the world blends with the stories of the heart. Keep showing up with soul and lots of flavor, honey. Love you. Long time.